gotta put that together still. What is it, until approximately 9 p.m. Probably can play music too. I kind of hit the button, then I realized I wasn't actually 100% ready. So we'll give it a sec here. Do I still have copy? No, I don't. I can hear me. Cat's in a playful mood and keeps running around. Okay, so this is 25. Yep, man, whatever. I'll just hit the button. I heard myself, so I know it's working. Alright. Alright, I think I should bounce that, okay? Hello, sir, yeah. How's it going? I guess rainbows. Actually, I gotta figure out. Yeah, it's still okay. Yeah, I did a render of this, and I did figure out that I tried playing around with the eye bit here, and I'll agree with Kyle, his assumption. I wanted to try to see if I could have it flicker between real and not, and if it would work. I determined that it looks much better to have it like this. The contrast works better, and the flicking there's not enough time. So I'm gonna stick with this. Oh, so base is not tight. There we go. Should I get it closer? Oh, no, maybe not. Right. It's always so close to the edge of falling out. So, so yeah, and then I realized that because for this part, it does process a motion blur here, but I think the value is too small for the engine to actually pick up when rendering or something, because when I actually did the render, I didn't get any motion blur at all, which sucks. Sucks and doesn't suck. Because normally I don't get any motion blur if I go to a low value like this. Yeah, so here I have no motion blur. I thought that that's the break point. It was about 0.001. Yeah, so now I'm getting a little bit. But when I rendered it, it didn't give me any, but I think I might keep it because it actually kind of worked. But I have to retime it because it is still a bit fast and kind of not fitting pacing. Actually, let me... oh, this is the old render. I gotta pop up the new one. There we go. So it's because it goes like, he does go pretty quick. But I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is keep it as it is, actually, because I think that what that at least tells me is that the scene works, which I think is the most important bit of information to pull from it, and like even like this angle and everything looked how I wanted it to, which means that I can move forward, and if the timing feels wrong at that point, then I'll come back to this and retime it. But sometimes it just feels awkward because I had went from slow to something very, very quick, but then technically it goes slow again because there's black. So I think it might work out where if I don't touch it and I just let it go as it is, it might still work. So, but the way I'd fix it is here, because there's 3 pauses. There's this pause, then there's this slowdown, I guess, and then this one here before going to the final one at the end there. So there's, I guess, 4 main points. I'm not really counting the last one, but if I skip through this part quicker, I might be able to make that work a little better. But the other things that I didn't like was the creature doesn't move correctly. That was assumed. He moves really quick, or he moves really slow at the beginning. So here I need to have him actually do more when coming around the corner. Because Rainbow Dash is still moving pretty good, but he kind of stops. So I need to have a little bit more action given to him, and a little bit more of the lead into whatever. And also the wood. Wood, I think, when it speeds up at this point, needs to slow down a little bit. But just actually, I forgot about that leftover wood. Does that work? Yeah, it's okay. I can leave it there. The other thing I wanted to check with this was that it doesn't really look foggy, and I feel like if I play with any of the visual effects for this, it's just going to remove the fog. Hello, Scope. So yeah, I want to, let me see if I can play around with that a bit. Hello. Oops, what did I add that to? I don't want it on there. Because I always like high contrast, and fog to me is like my brain can't comprehend fog correctly because it just says that everything's too washed out. Here, I mean, I could add probably like an artificial, I think, one, but it's just like that technically to remove the fog, but that's probably not what I want to do. But I think what I'm going to need to do here is add something. I wonder if I should remove this light here, because this just seems out of place without actually seeing the lamp itself, or at least dumb it down. Because it's a little disorienting. I'll be back. But I can really do it. Plus I'm looking forward to actually getting final render started, because this is getting ridiculous with all these overlapping video sections I'm doing for testing. And I think because of render times, I might render this at 1080. Just, it's a little bit better quality, and why not? Because it's not going to be that much longer to render. But I really do wish that the motion blur would work, but I might have to play around with this to why it's not. Oh yeah, that's what I want to. So, beginning here. Okay, so there is motion blur at that part, meaning that it's on a per shot basis, and I already showed that the shutter speed was working. It's not supposed to be 167. I think that's way too. That would be. It's gonna be super blurred, isn't it? Yeah. That's kind of trippy as shit. I'm gonna keep it where it was. But I think it was technically at 0.008 before. When actually, like, They're considered bat, but actually, if you, the problem I actually had was the story, the information that gives to it, the accuracy of what I'm using is not that accurate. I just didn't have a choice. It's titled Creatures. I swear by the end of this, I'm gonna freaking have this like down pat for all the names of the chapters. It was right after False Alarms, and I think it's in this one. No, it's one after that. I remember. Right here. So it was horrid way of something against her chest. A flat, angular face with no eyes and a horizontal slit of a mouth, full of bicuspids. I technically don't have any bicuspids in the mouth, but that would be difficult to try to manage, so I'm not too worried about that. At least not at this part. Spidery limbs, I tried trying, it couldn't really work, but it's the ray-like monstrosity, where if I think of ray, I'm thinking like a stingray, which I'm thinking like something that's flatter with the mouth flatter against the body and not on a head type thing, or at least out on its part. I don't know. So, but when I was going through models trying to find something that could work for such, I ended up going with this, and then I just removed the eyes. So, but technically, like, even the body down here, and this is supposed to have, I forgot what these models were. There it goes. Visage familiar. But I knew that there's going to be a lot of interpretive stuff in here. Like, there's certain things that I'm never going to be able to do. Like, I can't do the part with the Minotaurs because I don't have a Minotaur model. I tried seeing if I could use, like, Tyrek in a way for it. No, it didn't really work. So I essentially had to skip that whole portion of the book, which is kind of an important one. But if you have a minute and a half in a 200,000 something word story, 260, 212, you're gonna have to make sacrifices. There's also, like, I wish that one of the ideas I had was originally having a very backed up picture or scene of Verdstone, but I can't do that because how the hell would I build that? At least to, or it's like, could I do it? Yes. Would it look like crap? Yes. It would just not fit the detail that I want to do. And it's only actually from doing this video towards the end of it that I've gotten to figure out more tricks regarding how to do expansive shots from a distance. Because normally I always try to stay low, look high, because then you can falsify a lot of distance, but it's the camera high looking down that's difficult. Okay, so this is originally what this creature looked like. And I just, that's the one. There's something I did to remove the neck thing, but I think I just shrunk it down or something. But I just removed the legs. I just shrunk them down because the legs didn't work. So, and then, there's actually an attack animation. Okay, that's really, you're gonna call that your attack animation? Really, if that's the standard that you're working at for an attack animation, I'm in the wrong industry. I'm kind of curious though, because I do need to use him for other stuff. So I want to see what's available. That could actually be useful. It's too slow to actually use. Yeah, but these guys are actually during the Minotaur part of the story. The part where she's fighting the things is right between the segment with. I think Run is the one I used. How would you fly if you're stunned? It looks like he's doing a butterfly swimming. I don't think I'm gonna be able to use any of that because I have to think that without that and just the top. I can use it for an attack actually. If you were get rid of the legs and sped it up, that could actually be an attack of the sorts. Familiar capture. No. That actually could be useful. And that's not turning. That's it's like eating Cheetos on the couch level of animation. That's just sitting there. Okay. And I know I had a couple other forms, but I think that they all look about the same. What's this one? Oh, so this is the main guy. See, he's got bicuspids. But he's also got a head, which kind of goes against what you normally would need. Okay, all the rest don't work. Okay. Just upgrades. Oh, okay. Well, there are some things in there that could have been handy. These things are from Dota. They're from the Visage, I'm guessing. Usually when I need some kind of a creature thing, I go to Dota. I actually tried a couple other things. I was actually originally trying some monster from Godzilla to see how that would go, and no, that didn't work out. Anyways, so since this works, I can use that. So I'm going to paste that here, extend it. I really don't even care. There's nothing in this shot, so let's delete that. Rename this to what I need. It's not the right blue, but I need to know that that shot's not started yet. Monster attack, the ground. Alright, so for this shot, I'm not going to need... I would say I don't need any of the mountains, but I actually think that I might, so I'm going to keep them. I'm going to get rid of the exploding wood for now. The smoke stays, mountains stay. Sky cards are going to have to probably be swapped around a little bit. I think for how this is going to be, because I'm going to be looking at two different angles. I'm going to, because my goal is to actually stay around here. And I have a feeling I'm going to be, my guess, and I think a lot of this I'm probably going to have to think over, but I can at least get it started. I'm going to probably need to widen this a little bit just for dramatic effect, but we're going to do lenses. 35 is probably going to be too far back. Maybe I'll keep it like that. So we're gonna be looking pretty low over here. So I need to copy building pieces. I think for effect I'm going to make this kind of zoom out because I want to make it seem smaller at the end, but with the camera I can make it fool it into thinking it's bigger than it is. So we'll do that. And in terms of space, That should be plenty. I have a feeling I'm gonna actually need to like lift up building pieces to actually allow the camera to see. That this is building 2 wall. Okay, so that's you're gonna be promoted. So I don't need this part anymore at all. So I'm gonna get rid of that. This is gonna be promoted to building 2. Da-da-da. Building 4. Oh. Okay, not even promoted. And now I need to make sure that we have this same building in a couple different spots. So this is going to make animating tough. So I might actually do these building pieces later, because I probably need to do 2 to 3 of those, and they are usually the most intensive thing on the system. Because if the camera's going to be low and right here, I need to make sure that these have because I don't want to just do like bam, look, done. That looks tacky. So I do want to provide a little bit of distance going this way. And I might be able to cheat it a little bit, because now, because of how things are set up, I can put the aperture higher again. And I probably would want to, because everything's zoomed in. For one, this is going to look way too alike. So I think what I'm going to do is, well, first, let's see how this is going to run. Yeah, they kind of run shitty. So I think I'm gonna wait on this. So on the building stuff back here, because without that, if I were to animate as it was, my frame rate's sitting at like 8 with the lights on, or 20 or 30 for without. But we can start setting things up. So I don't want to get rid of these. I'm not going to delete any of the light stuff right now, because I'm probably going to have to adjust them. Well, I can delete the... No, I'll wait. Alright, so I need this ground moved closer. I'll work on the same thing. Now this is where I have to be careful, because I have to... I don't want to have it that be like that's the cliffside. I mean, it's tacky as hell. So, I need something a little better. So we're gonna do... there is one I'm thinking about, but it involves some vegetation, which is this one. And technically that's not accurate. What is this one? Oh, similar. It's similar. There's a lot of things with cliff in the name, but not much is actual cliffs. Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. Oh yeah, I love these ones. Okay. Yeah, well, there, I found it. Would that one work? No. Because that would imply going out in front of the town potentially, which would then give me a whole area to the side I would have to build a city for, which is possible. Because I only need the distant buildings I can make cheap with low quality models instead of the ones that I have with the high quality. Maybe. I was thinking more like this one because it's flat, which is kind of tacky, I guess. Well, let's give this a shot. What's... Oh, the cliffs? You first... Oh, sweet. Keep raiding. Okay, would this be... Okay, the detail of the ground is fine. If anything, can this actually work in the previous shot? I mean, yes, it could, but to make it visible enough, I'd have to put it like that high, which would be stupid. It does kind of make sense to have it partially visible, though. Yeah, that's actually why I wanted to kind of do some of the iconic portions from the story, because I think it is kind of cool when you see something, and or like if you go to a movie and then you see it and then you read it in the book, you have this like different image in your head of it, and vice versa. So I wanted to try to have a follow some of those bits from the story so that you could actually look at it and go, I recognize that, or something. And the fact that somebody could recognize it, and obviously in here I've been saying what it's from, but if you can recognize it without being told, that's what I think is even cooler. It means the shot had enough detail in it for you to be able to identify it without assistance, which is hard. I'm trying to figure out how to light this just enough so that I can get some nice strong rim lighting on it here. And I think that this is a little bit too green still. Oh, that's not right. I'll go there. Hello, Michael. So everybody is aware it is Tailnail's birthday today, so you should wish him happy birthday because he's a cool guy. Ha! I'm beating you. I'm still older than you. I don't think I'm gonna quite that high. Because I think this actually does add a nice additional element to the scene. I just want to make sure that every shot works. Hey, I'm not the oldest one here now, yay! The only thing I have a problem with this right now is that to get this part to look fine, to have those rocks coming out, I need something else to at least continue on this direction. What is, like, if a rock goes out to a peak, what would they call that? I mean, it's a cliff, like an out-hanging thing. I thought I had a special word for it. I'm gonna about it. This is easier. I thought it had, like, there's a word I'm thinking of. Precipice. It's a precipice. I don't think so. It seems like a cliche word. Oh, yeah, she has it. It's right there. It's just that when attached to her neck, it doesn't animate correctly with drastic motions. So there's certain parts, like when she's here, it just kind of disconnects and stuff. So I'm keeping it hidden right now so it doesn't feel weird when trying to figure out all the other stuff. And when I start doing refinement later, where I'm cleaning up her tail motion and her ear motion or whatever, I'll put it back on then and actually add that into things to refine. But I actually had this half done, and then I realized that was missing at first. But yeah, it is there. But yeah, that necklace is, or I can't. It's not really the necklace's fault. It's more of that area is like right around where the neck and the chest both interact with the skin. So it's like I can lock it to one, but then the other's gonna have an effect on it, and vice versa. It's super annoying. So just take some extra TLC later. Okay, and I think that's fine for Cliff then. So yeah, I do like the way that looks. And then does provide a little bit of connective elements. And I think the biggest reason I actually like, and I might add an extra rock just to fill a little gap right there, that I like it is that the one thing I had a problem with this shot with is that it didn't seem framed very well. It had, like, I was gonna do it with my hand, but like you guys can see that. It seemed like everything was going on in this direction, but it seemed like there was just a big gap here, and so I wanted something to fill it, and actually that works. So I'll take it. make sure I find a different portion of this rock to put there. I don't want to actually have it very high. I just want to have something. That gap felt weird. It doesn't really light the way I want it to. Not like that either. I'm gonna look with one. Oop. There we go. Because I want to keep it so that it's just kind of a rim lighting across the edge. That should work. Okay. Now I can utilize this. Right now they're yellow. Which actually probably why it was too green before. I'll have to fix that because this is yellow because the other shot I use this in. And I needed these to be yellow. This may be too big. Change that. That's not going to be noticed. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stretch this out a little bit. Probably bend it down a little too. And that'll be fine. I'm going to call this cliff main because this is going to be the main one that's visible. I'm going to load up some of the other ones now. The story I'm pulling this from is, I still haven't loaded up, let's go. And though I'm only covering book 1, there is a lot of books for it. I've actually, in the evenings now, got back to starting to read some of the new chapters. I hadn't I've been like usually working on this super late, then I just go to bed, or I've been putzing to just kind of unwind. So then I'm actually reading some more. I think I passed it. There we go. It was. There we go. So these are the two. This is probably gonna be the one that matches the best. No, I'm past that. I'm on the current book. As soon as the updates started happening again, I was pretty quickly up to the current book, but then it was a good stopping. Well, I wouldn't say it was a good stopping point to kind of end on a note that I wanted to know more, but at least I stopped there so that I could focus on other things for a bit. But I need time to let my brain kind of settle down after working on stuff or whatever. So I've been watching Netflix and stuff after stream, and then after a little while, if I still feel like it, I'll go back to work on things. But normally it's like if I wanted to, if I didn't work on this for another week, I could still get it done in time. But I don't want to be down to where I have to spend every waking moment working on something, because all I'm going to do is suffocate myself, and then nothing I make is going to be that worthwhile. So I want to be able to force myself to take breaks. So streams are just my time so that I can work on things without doing the unneeded breaks, which I do quite often too. That should work. One thing I'm worried about is that this rock ground is a little different. And actually, that has an LED on it, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. It's just a sharp angle. Okay. Yeah. Well, I originally started reading this story. I don't even know if I'm going to have a date, but it was like at book 3 or something is when I started reading it, and I would catch up. It took me until about book 4 to get caught up, and then I'd get caught up, and then I'd just read other fics for a while, and then wait until that one got a good amount in, and then I would just go and quickly just slam through a bunch more again. So it wasn't like I was constantly working on or reading the same thing over and over and again. Because there's a lot of other fics out there that I really like, but now I haven't really, other than this one, I haven't really read much else in terms of fics. There was one I was reading, I forgot what it was called now, because I'm finding that I like long stories. So that one, oh, that was the one. It was in, I forgot what the original name of the story was, but this is like book 5 or something. It's a Twilight Changeling thing. That was actually been pretty good. I have to catch up on Changing Lines too, but and if you guys want like good fics to read, I have a lot on here. Pink Eyes, I just read it recently. Asylum's good, but it's been slow to update. That's a chapter a year. That's all for the Hive, of the Hive, I think this was called. Was it Winds of Change? No, that was a different one. But no, I have a whole crap load of ones on here that are really good, and I was reading them for quite a while. So, if you ever need fic recommendations, you know. Okay, so I need to get. I haven't actually shown the ground, so I can do whatever I want for the ground at this point. But this is actually going to be... Actually, it's not going to really be visible. The ground's going to be, for the most part, invisible. But I'm going to be up close, so or if I am, so I'm going to be potentially working like this. Because I believe this has a bump map on it. Actually, like, some of my favorites were Keeper of Discord, which I've actually thought about doing a video on, because I thought that would be a concept that I'd never done before. I don't know if these have bump maps. Doesn't look like it. If it does, they're really minor. But normally, if just the light's leaving something, you can tell if it does or not, and I'm not seeing it. So, if that doesn't, then because to me this was what looked the best, like a city's ground, when you're talking about rock, being built right on the rock face, it looked the best. But actually adding bump maps to these would be super easy. Oh, that's cool. I can actually float it over like that. Never actually tried that. This is from Dota. That'd be weird if Dota didn't have bump maps on this. Looking for bad stone floor. There's a couple of other ones of skirts I have to look at, but it's I haven't really just read too much lately. There's a couple on I have on like kind of a watch list thing. I haven't read Hiatus yet, and I have a laundry list to get through, but I'll get to them eventually. After BronyCon, I plan to try to count a lot of them out. So some floors are 1. Okay, so it does not have a bump map. Nerp. Okay, well, we will make one. So I thought I didn't copy that. Whatever. Let's do it again. There we go. I've been using Notepad++ for a long time. I did web development as a hobby for like 4 years, and I did it completely in Notepad. I wanted to learn the most, and so I did it the hardest way possible. But I taught myself HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, all that, and I did it all on super simple things like that, so. Hey, I've only watched what half this season. I've actually gotten caught up because I went and caught up on Sherlock, so I've done all that, but I have been watching Jessica Jones now. But I don't know, it's just like I do a lot of Pwn stuff, so it's nice just watching non-Pwn stuff here and there. I don't know if that's, I just did that wrong. I don't know if that's blasphemy or something, but. Okay, like I thought, this is think backwards in terms of the lighting for it, but mainly because I'm almost always backwards with this. Make sure I get the name right. Oh no, I should do that. I did. I'm used to overrides. Yeah, Notepad++ has been awesome for that. So, I'm thinking that it did not locate my texture. I probably saved that in the wrong folder. No, it's the right one. Ow. There's E in there. Is that how they have it? Yeah. Or one of them is anyway. Maybe copyright. I don't know. As long as it works, I don't care. The code related, well, it's not really code. It's VMT is just more of properties. So I'm not really, I'm just telling or giving it different values to do for, or that will the texture will use. So you can find a lot of information regarding that on their wiki, but otherwise, it's just, okay, there we go. Now it should have a little bit of light. Yeah, when it's in the darkness, you can see there's a little bit of light there. Alright, so those do look a lot better. Kind of like this ground is. Bone maps. There's the VMTs that you can get super complex if you want, but in general, it's pretty simple stuff. So for like this one, the Fog of War, I don't care. That's a game property. I don't need to worry about. Base texture is in almost any texture that's there. It's just saying what VTF file or what picture file is this one using, because the game grabs the VMT, it grabs the info from the VMT and then does what it tells it to do. So, so that's why it just says, oh, the texture is located at this location, and so that's where this one is, at this folder. I just added a property called bump map, which it's a bump map. That's the pretty general one for it, and I'm just saying where the bump map is. And then it just comes down to how do you make a bump map, which can be kind of confusing, and I'm not the greatest at it, but at least for making cracks, that's easy. And then up here, this is just saying what kind of texture it is. Vertex lit generic is almost the one you're going to use in almost any situation. The only ones you might use differently are eyes if you're using an eye model, but that's unless you're compiling a model of you're going to be using for such. You're not going to need to worry about that either. But the main other one you're going to use is unlit, which just means instead of the model being lit by the lights around it, it's going to light itself, but you have no control over how that is lit. And it's usually used for like UI and stuff like that. So like in general, this is almost always going to be vertex. This is always going to exist, and beyond that, it's just extra stuff. So like this one had a self-illum, which is another property you can look up on the wiki. Ones that get complicated are when you start getting into some of the character models, because they'll start adding Fong, and knowing what those values do can be useful but not required. So like a lot of the times if I go to like readjust some texture or something for or make a new texture, I'll just copy paste this from something else and then see what it looks like and just start throwing values in and whatever looks good. So they're really not that complicated, and most of the information you can find if you go to actually if you just search VMT, I bet you this stuff. Yeah, material. So this is where you can go in here and it'll just tell you everything about everything. The main ones you want though are the list of shader parameters, which are what these are for telling you how or what a lot of the useful stuff does. Ones I use the most are color, base texture transform I use sometimes. Alpha I use. Translucent and alpha test can be useful. You can see which ones I use because they're the ones that are a little lighter because I clicked them the most. Self-illum I use. And a lot of these other ones are just stuff that's on there. It's really not that difficult. It just looks intimidating because you're seeing it as a mass of letters and symbols, but I just see it as like segments. So But it really, really does come in handy to know that stuff. Like, to be able to look at this texture and say, I don't like how this looks, how can I make it look better? And to say, well, I'll just make it a bump map so I can bring it in, that texture into Photoshop, but I know that bump maps are going to be looking at black and white for depth. Well, I don't want to have, that means I want to have high contrast between low areas and high areas, so that's why I washed it out to be so the cracks were the dark portion. If you have too many little nuances across the top, it's just going to get lost in the, and not look as great. So I did high contrast, and then VTF allows you to import it directly as that. But I still feel like that's weird. I thought these cracks would be poking up, but it's working, so. And even like here, I could say that these cracks aren't deep enough. So I can actually go into VTF here. I'm going to import that same thing. I'm going to give this a scale of 6 instead, which is normally the base, and that will make them deeper. But if you go too deep with the cracks, they can start getting distorted, and it's not. That's the wrong name still. Yeah. The light will start getting distorted on the edges and usually start going weird colors, so not preferred. I might be able to go another deeper though. Yeah. Oh yeah, that actually looks much better. So you can actually see the light hitting it. And for an example of what this is doing, or the effect it has, from the light's perspective, bump maps are almost invisible because it's just lighting everything. So you can actually see here how. Actually, it might work better if I do it. It's ground. This one. Yes. I guess this is going to. I wonder if I can. Oh wait, no, I know what it is. Time. Like that. Bam. Unlock. Show me. So you can actually watch how the cracks light. Oh, come on. You didn't unlock. Stupid. There we go. Alright, now it'll work. So there. Kind of a cool effect. But it definitely adds a realistic element to the ground. And you can no, I don't want to say these. But the cool thing is that you can even see here, and actually the stream's not really not going to show the detail for it, but there is some extra detail in just these little segments in between that this had for these areas. And that's why I said if you put too much extra detail in a lot of that, those areas are going to shift and move with everything, and it can make things look weird, but I don't think it's going to matter much for this. Actually, I can delete this one out yet. But now when I have lights showing, it might not feel like much, but when you're at a low angle, the cracks can just they have zero depth, and so it just makes it feel it just loses a lot of the realism. And so the easiest way to do that is to add bump maps to me. And I don't think it's really that difficult to add bump maps. It's actually one of the easiest things to do, especially for cracks. Now, see, the difficult problem here is going to be trying to get this to butt up against this correctly. And to have them lighted correctly together. Let me actually grab that main light here. Okay, so this would be a balanced light situation, but it's going to be brighter than I'd be using. Meaning that right now this is too bright. Rainbow Dash is probably going to be a lot brighter, so if I want to keep things balanced, it should be less about. Actually, I should check it with the building next to it too. I want to make sure that later everything's going to look fine. Alright, so if I were to judge brightness, this is still bright compared to even the wall. If that's the case, I'm going to delete these three. I think I missed something. There we go. Alright, that's better blended. That might be too dark. Potentially too red. At this border for this ground, I can modify that however I feel. And actually, if I wanted to, I could steal this texture. Which, if I remember right, it's, I think, a separate part. Trim, probably rubble. What's this? Wow. So it means that if I wanted to, I could actually make the ground of this whole city this same thing. I'm kind of tempted on, because the detail of this is, I think, better. The only thing I think it might be is it might be a little confusing. No, I'm going to keep this stone, but being able to grab that texture means that I can probably better mix it in with this one. Though I don't even know if it's going to matter, because I'm potentially, the camera's going to be like this, and then come down potentially like this, so it's not even going to be that close to the ground. I don't even know if this is stuff that's going to matter, but I need some kind of a base of ground to be able to have everybody on. So this is what I'm doing, or why I'm doing it. Rarity's best pony. Don't know where you get your news. It's weird because they're bent strange. I actually find it strange that there's not a single person in chat yet that has agreed. Everybody's had a different opinion. I think it's good. It's important too. Also, I think that shows something, though, that the show is able to develop as many characters as it had, but that each of them were different enough that everybody could identify differently with different people, different bones. I think that's kind of neat. Normally, you'd think that a couple of them were written better, or were kind of the ones that were being pandered. But no, they were actually pretty well balanced. Too worried about getting it exact. It's just that the light's going to reflect or show any potential cracks a lot easier, so I want to make sure I've got as many covered as possible. Even here, like openings and stuff, I really don't mind because whatever, it's rock. Shouldn't be perfectly flat. I like just saying that because Artie's best phone to me. Yeah, it's actually, the story that actually got me into, or that to me put Dash's best was, let's see if we can find it. Yep, first one, was this one. Really good story, Bluebird song. And it's a Twidash fic, but that's not really the focus of the story, even though he says it's supposed to be. It's actually a lot of it's kind of an adventure type, but it's really sad, some sad moments. But it's one of my favorite stories written. Originally, my idea was to have, when I was going to make a trailer type video, was to actually make it for that. But then I decided to go with this because my ideas shift and move, and that was years ago. But the rainbow that book portrays is one of my favorites. It was actually that one that kind of got me into doing quite extra shit anyway, so it makes sense. Just about what I wanted to do. Okay, now that I'm sure that all these edges still work. Don't need that one. Yeah, but I only really have one ship if I ever were to like read this story specific to or something, and that's usually Twidash. But I haven't read much for a while on any of that stuff. But yeah, that tended to be the one I would do as a go-to. For a while, I was kind of into reading more of those types, but I haven't. Lately, if I'm going to go read a book, I kind of like either adventure or just slice of life. I don't like going overly complicated with it. But I also used to read the really long ones. Those used to be my favorite. But lately I've been having the time to put into long fix because they take a while. Actually, like one of my favorite series, it was actually I wouldn't really say it's a ship fic because it's that wasn't really the main focus of it, but there was one called Foal in the Forest. That one I really liked. The premise was weird, but it was a pretty enjoyable story. But that was all completely done. I'll leave it like that. I can fix that later. I'm not going to have clipping issues from a distance, am I? No, so it'll be perfectly fine. Oh, no, you can see it a little bit, but I won't be that far away anyway. No problems. All right. All right, so I knew this main light is not going to be the official main light. I can actually readjust that. So, for one, I'm just going to get rid of some of these creatures because I can just copy paste the other ones in. I might need some of the ones in the distance just to have silhouetted or something, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. That should actually speed things up on here a bit. Not actually that much. No, this is actually the only one I don't have built. There's another one that I still have to do, but I really don't have to do that much on it, so I'm not too worried about that. This is the only one I actually have left to build, and that's the most time-consuming part. It's planning and scene building. I'm going to delete that one, but I might need to bring it back. Alright, so this, I'm going to get rid of some of the actor lights in terms of the lamps. So I don't need the lamp light. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm probably going to put lamps around here because I want to actually have this be a pretty well-lit area. I'm going to get rid of just all her lights. I'm gonna light it unique to, or this. I thought I got rid of, or did I move the actual main light? I apparently did. So this is going to be coming in from this direction. This is going to probably be the absolute main light for this shot. So let's do it. The only one. What's that light hitting? Oh. dark. It's a little brighter than I thought. Oh, it's not actually... Might have had that wrong. Okay, I thought I was seeing the background, like the ground, but apparently I'm not. That's actually the volumetrics, so that's fine. Now I have to be careful here because if I go too bright, I'm going to make rainbow glow. So for one, I need to make rainbow stationary. So let's have her stand here. See, that's what I mean. So she's super, super bright compared to her surroundings. The only real way to fix that is to brighten everything else up. What's you angry at? I'm confused. I know, because I know that gets copied. I love how it, like, it's angry, but as soon as you remove the angry eyes, it looks scared. Look at that, how you have to use both together. Actually, I'm going to probably keep some of that. I'm just going to get rid of some lower face stuff here. Alright. So she's going to be a bit too bright, but I might just leave it like that because I probably want to have her stand out. So I don't think I'm going to modify any of the scene yet in regards. And I think in terms of blue glow, that should be fine anyway. Okay, so I potentially want to have gold petals in here, but there's the difficulty of her hiding because I don't know what she's wearing. I don't think the wiki is going to tell me what she's wearing at first. It tells me what she looks like. Yeah, they just kind of skip. Caravan worker is all you know. I might have to look into it more later. At least in the meantime, I kind of load her up. I believe I'm using Velvet Remedy's model. Though for this shot, I might need to have a different model for her because the hair might be too long. It can work for the other ones, but not for this one. Maybe it wasn't. Carrot Top? Yeah, baby. That's the body texture, but where's the hair texture? Did I just use Carrot Top's hair? No. That wouldn't work. Can't remember what I used for Gold Petal's hair. I was using Velvet Remedies hair. I know that for sure. Yep, Velvet Remedies model. Body was redirected to Carrot Top. Oh, I was using golden tickets. Okay. That makes that easier. That'd be the same for the tail. Eyelashes are removed, which makes sense. And then the eyes are Velvet Remedies. Oh no, because I didn't care here. Are Velvet Remedies' eyes blue? I guess so. Oh wait, no. No, because yeah, they would default to. Oh. But I know the wiki gives a picture, though they're kind of partials, of a back in a braid, but I don't know if there's any actual model that has something like that. But even so, my thought is the only way that you can really pass as a stallion in some ways if she was covered up a lot. So I'm thinking she's got to be wearing something, but I don't know what. But so I'm gonna not bother with that too much right now. Kind of. I mean, I wouldn't. I would say that there was an interest, but it was also gold petals was used as a, I think, way to bring up some other issues that Rainbow Dash has. So it's kind of a. There's a lot to it. I don't want to spoil stuff. So. I don't think Octavia has a braid. No. Unless there's a version that has a braid. But, it does not. Oh, that pack. And actually, if it's that one, which looks by way of coloration, that's actually very similar to this. The only difficulty with it is that I'm guessing that this, actually this, a lot of this just look like recolors. And see, this is also, I'll check it, but one of the things I don't like is if you're going to be releasing a model of something, don't modify the colors in the picture for something that you're releasing. I am pretty sure that the saturation was dropped in this picture, and you don't want to give somebody a trying to. Did I actually go to? It just doesn't seem right to give somebody something, but you're giving them a misrepresentation of its actual final product. I don't actually feel it correctly. Why is everything so deep and whatever? Okay, so it's leather armor is the main thing. Okay, thanks for looking that up. That's super useful. I can't do a hood. I've already figured that out before, but I would think that at this time, that's not exactly something that she finds important. So, hello, Kyle. So I'm thinking that the armor is going to be the important one. If I can do the armor, I should be fine. But in terms of leather armor, and I'm guessing all these models are going to be named different things in different folders too, aren't they? Okay, so there's CW. Okay, at least they have a connecting element. Well, let me see what these work first. Yeah, see, like what I meant by the coloration difference. This red is nowhere near popping as much as this. So some people are looking for grungy, and it's not going to work. I like the tail, the braided tail. That actually is really neat. I mean, the amount of time that would have taken to put together is pretty neat. But it actually depends on how many bones it has. There's a lot of vertices in there, so I'm hoping it's got some control. But that does not have the braid in the back that I was wanting. I really, yeah, that's cool. That would have actually really come in handy to have those models before. Okay, so nothing that I'm able to use out of the pack, but having, are they different sizes? Mod's actually smaller. I thought it was funny when you do. Yeah, they like. Dun, 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 dun. That's the problem, actually, because having these models, actually, I'm not complaining about because they're pretty useful. The Crystal War timeline was a useful thing. Oh, she's like floating. Nobody else is floating. Why is she floating? Yeah. I guess it's just Mod that gets to float. She just defies gravity. Actually, I am curious with the braids, though. So there's tail 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. Okay, but I'm not gonna play it. They actually did give it quite a bit of control. Ugh. They gave it control, but not the best of waiting on it. Yeah, you'd have to really modify bone position to make it work, and even then it's stretching it. So they gave it control, but the weights are a little bit high. But I guess it's one of those, I think it's a trade-off. You do or you don't, but like, see here, if you bend it, that would be really, really hard to animate correctly. Or if you wanted to, say, put them at a lower angle, you couldn't actually bend that one down. You have to bend this one and stretch it out. And it's like, be a lot of modification to make it work. But at least there's the option for it. I'd rather have something that's difficult but possible than the other way around. Okay, you said there's another one? Yeah, but it's too girly in the front. It's a braid in the back, but nothing else works. So, I wouldn't be able to use it. That's fine though. If I need to, I can just replace with some kind of short hair. The braids are just nice because later on I'm using longer hair. And I could just like try doing somebody running crappy. Better. I thought there was like one main. Oh, here we go. When doing the final hair bits, you can try to shrink this up a little bit. So you can do it like that. And voila. Shorter mane. Well, see, that would actually work then. So, because that could be construed as both kind of male and female to a degree. Kind of a feminine male or butch female, but nonetheless. And usually males are given a shorter tail, but I'm not going to worry about that stuff right now. I want to keep it all as, not overrides, as normal right now, because I don't want to modify it all and then have to redo it again. I haven't gotten to the details of the shot yet, so I just did a bunch of some stuff. And even if I wanted to, I could actually get rid of the back mane altogether. But again, I'm not going to worry about that right now because I'm not 100% sure how I wanted to do it. Originally, my idea was to have it so that, because I only have as just a little bit more time than the shot prior. So what I was thinking about doing was having it so that the camera, I guess I don't need to actually grab the camera, but to have it, I do need to use this to figure out what, I think this is running at a 35. Would 50 be preferred? To me, 35 is going to be, I think, too far back, so I'm going to stick with 50. And to have it be that, have the camera probably from like an angle of like here, and have her come down and like, well, and actually, you know, it might be even better to keep it from like here, stay at a 35. I'm not going to be able to do it from this. Like this. And have one of the creature things come down. I can have it zoom into like here and have Dash come and smash that one to the ground there, and then I wanted to have it so that it actually flipped around her here, and like have her Rainbow Dash do something else, but have her kind of be like the focus, the center of the camera, but keep it low. So like have her hit things into the ground there, but then I can have it keep flipping around here. But I think I'm going to have to spend probably this weekend thinking out how to do that, because I don't want to start doing it like I've done it before and then like figure out it's not working. So I have to like run it through my head like 100 times so I have it down pat, so that when I start doing it I'm not getting confused and going the wrong direction. So I might have to hold off on some of that for now. And some of the scene building I don't know how to do yet because I'm not sure what angles I'm going to be viewing stuff. Especially if I want to try to keep it where she's the center. But if I did, she'd probably be like here. And actually having it, I could probably have her come down like this and zoom past her and then hit from there. And then have it pull up next to her. But I want to try to keep her as a focus. If not her, I'm just going to remove her completely and just do Rainbow Dash doing Rainbow Dash things and doing the punching stuff. So, but for now, I think I'm going to put this one on pause. So this one is essentially, at least now that I've started it, that. So I am going to start on this one. So when I was watching, so that those are later. I was working on this shot. Gotta have her kick more ass, but I need to time that a little differently. But I think what I want to do is I want to change this up so that instead of starting back here, it starts from his side. And I need to speed that up because that one strike is almost half of my time that I have, and that is not acceptable. So I need to move my camera. The camera though is really difficult because I can't move it normally. To be able to do a lot of these heavy manipulations, I had to use a camera helper, and because of that I have to be super careful on how I do a lot of this. So I'm going to move. I don't think I have any animated lights. The particles are slightly, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Is the dragon not included with actors? No, it's not. Get in there. So what I probably want to do is speed this part up. You know what? Before I do that, I don't want to start modifying that until I've gotten this other camera bit figured out. So the pass is right here, which means that at this point is about where I want to keep the camera where it was. So I'm going to say camera, playhead. That's fine. I'll modify it. So let's keep it like that. So this camera, and where's my helper? Camera's just above. So if I remember right, I have to move the actual camera back here. Okay, and then from there, I want to actually move the helper this time. I will need a secondary. This camera's going to be an ass to work with, but it'd be even more of an ass without the secondary. So cameras just don't work correctly all the time when you're moving them. When you're moving them without some other one to take some of the motions. That's Sam. I just haven't moved his textures over. He's using the Dr. Hooves as a base, but I don't care about getting all the textures figured out until later. That's why he has no main. Okay, so the camera keeps this correctly at a distance. But I need to move this helper down. Okay, so the best way to portray that he's going down without actually making him go down would be to correct it afterwards, but to start or have us end at a higher... Would it be better to go this way? No, I have to go this way. Why was Rook animated? Yeah, I do. Oh yeah, I really care about it in this shot. Okay, where's the first? Right here. So I want to see if I can get it manipulated to have him hit at that point. It's going to be moving it way too quick. Yeah. What if I moved it to like this point? Even that might be too much. But I think if I take Sam, because right now I have him doing 2 spins just because it worked easier. But if I have him do only 1, that would actually work. Okay. That will require manipulation of everything from this time to this time to reduce it down to here. Oh, I need to change something there. There, those are mergeable. Okay, the end part's a little quick still. So if I balance out the speed with the first part, so from she starts spinning here to here to there. Oh, and I can actually slow him down in general, because now I do have the time. Actually, wait, I'm just going to do that then. recording scale? What was the root? Yeah, it is. Oh, that's because I'm also... Oh, it's still always scaled, so that's fine. Okay, never mind. No, the camera's not locked onto the SAM. It's locked onto this camera helper, because the SAM's not actually moving. This is him like normally. That's without any camera motion. It's all. I can't really move him because the ground is too close. He would impact the ground well before anything. So it's all me trying to play off an illusion that the ground is so far away. So I have to fake the distance of everything. So the fact that this dragon is coming up is supposed to be like even here. There we go. I technically need to play with this a bit more to have him actually scaled correctly. So this, I'm actually going to shrink him smaller. So it's about falsifying the distances. But even here, like, this is actually going too fast now. I might have to keep it like this. But I have to modify some of these cameras to make it work. Because like here I come up behind him, but then it kind of, well, for one, I have to get it to be, and I originally want to have this as a shot because this would actually show the distance correctly, but I might have to skip by it. Trying to do is that general camera position is done by the helper, and refinement is done by the actual camera itself. It allows me 3 bones manipulation. The reason I'm doing that is because if I were to try to move the camera as it is, to try to do nuanced movements while having a lot of other drastic motion, if I go and try to change one of those motions, it's going to affect all the little small motions. So like here, I have the general camera helper doing the main positions where I want everything to be, but then, so it's trying to stay within that smoothly, but then when I need to do small changes, so like it might move to one position, but then I need to have the camera track slowly to one person, having the camera do all those motions at once, it'd be hard when it's trying to do this large motion sideways to also track the small motion. You usually get a stutter. So instead, if I lock the camera to another model, it's technically not moving at all. It's a 0 all across the board. So if I do small motions with it, it's a lot easier to maintain and control those small motions because it's all working from its world being 0 of whatever the camera helper's motion is. So, or at least that's the assumption. So like here, and the problem is too, like now the camera's always sideways. So like I have this is up and down for me, so I have to always turn my camera back so that I actually have normal camera control. Alright, so this is going to be a little bit forward. I'm going to move it in a bit. And can I... I think I'm actually going to come out from a really close zoom in. Alright, and then I will try to give a little bit of extra time to him here. Right here. Okay, that worked. Only thing I want to do is potentially start it at a lower angle. And I want to keep manipulating the camera's perspective at this point. So it'd be to keep it zoomed in a bit more and zoom it out a bit more. And then have him threat. And I'm not worried too about, like, I'm going to give him extra motion while he's there and like emotion and stuff. I'm just not worried about it right now. I only care right now about getting everything that's as much of the general motion out of the way as possible. I'm trying to see if I can. No. Okay, so this is... The camera hits kind of a weird little stall point right here. Okay, it still hits a bit of a flat point up top. And so my plan for how I'm doing him is I'm animating his emotion that he is doing, just whatever, I don't even care. And then I'm just throwing a dragon in to like react to the head, because it's way easier. It's easier to have one person beating the shit out of another than it is to animate two people actively fighting each other evenly. Because then you have to actually think about both sides. But when you have one side just beating the crap out of the other, it's literally just have one side just punching the air and then throw somebody into the air. So that's actually kind of nifty. Okay, so this does speed it up. So now he hits in the first third. What's my time? My beats here. These are secondary notes. So, okay, so I'm going to try to focus on... And I don't want to have it be... If you do it with the beat, you're going to have, like, hit, 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 which just doesn't seem right. So you have to jump to an offbeat every now and then. So that's why, like, right now, at least for how this is set up, because I don't want to have it end on an action bit too much. And I also wanted to have it on this one, or this scene. I wanted to potentially have it so that if I can have it end with a close-up on Rainbow's face there, so it acts as a transition, that would be great. Because if that's the case, then I would actually stretch this out so that instead of it zoomed out, that it actually stays more zoomed in right at the beginning. Or at least to take the camera and just round it so that it's a little bit more, well, maybe not even like that, like probably just like this a little bit. Okay, so I need to have him go into another position here. So what I was thinking about doing was to do a similar thing, to have him flip, because that's the easiest way to get motion out of somebody in something like this, is to have him I wonder if I can am I able to speed this up anymore? I just need to speed it up like maybe 2 frames, not even. Okay, that should be a lot better, because I think for timing of music... just after the beat, but I think it should work. Hello. Okay. And then I think what I'm gonna have to do is keyframe something I want him to do, because like here, this is the shot that I wanted for the most part, and then I think I still, oh, I'm out of cafefe. Is I go between the iconic shots and then just figure out ways to get between them. So if but normally I want to have it something showing what's coming up to him. So if I were to have him, sorry, I'm gonna you're probably gonna hear the music like in slow-mo a lot. I'm trying to get it running through my head. Because what I want to do, probably right around here. Beats right here. I can retime any of this later, so I'm not worried about that part. Is I want to have him go to some kind of an upper swipe. I'm just going to do a very rough. Bit, so like. Alright, I need to get some kind of pose. I wonder if I can take one of those before. Could I steal that? Kind of. Attack! See, this, trying to get him to do this motion behind him would be difficult, because I have to take pelvis and get it flipped around, and actually I'm going to have to do that within an offset. That did not work like an offset. Okay, that's fine. Alright, I can do this. There we go. So how would that work? That actually kind of works. And this is nothing final right now. I'm just trying to figure out what motions I am able to do. Because once I know what I'm able to do, then I can actually worry about doing it. Until then, I just have to play. A lot of these motions you just make super cheap and nobody notices. Okay, so I needed to hit his head. Sword needs to lag behind in this direction. I'm destroying the body doing this, but that's just the idea of such that I'm trying to figure out right now. It's not kind of the motion that I was going for. Oh, yeah, I probably should have not done it as a reverse motion there. Didn't realize that. I might have to. Because I was thinking about having it be that he goes right from this, because this has to be 2 in a row. Because it has to go into another one then. I wonder, can I speed? I could probably blend these motions a little bit better. Because right now, there's almost none. Actually, I can probably find a way to blend these 2 motions together better. Because right now, he's not really... I wonder if... For one, it would have to be like a more drastic head turn than this. I could almost just keep it as I have it for his motion. It ended up turning out better than I thought it would. Go attack horse. Go sword horse. Like, to me, it's getting these motions to blend together. So I'm thinking what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to take in just a little bit of this beginning bit, and I'm going to stretch it to this point. This point. I'm going to blend it from there. But I know he used his sword for all of it. I'm wondering if I should make him buck one of them though. Alright, so he goes from swinging down to up. So how do I follow that through? I can add in the dragons later. I'm not, like I said, I'm not worried about that. And the details and all that, like the crappy parts of his motion that look like shit. I'm not worried about that. Alright, so if I were to try to do a follow through, because that's what he kind of does here. How would be a follow up from that? Because that was originally the idea I had for that, but I thought when that went over. in terms of how to have that second attack go. So he goes. Now it'd actually be neat is if I could get the camera to zoom in on his face, but I think that might be tough. That's more of an anime thing, where you have that 1 or 2 frames where you have the eye visible, and that's really about it. They actually did that in the actual anime intro. I think it's at the end of that actual scene when he goes to do this thing. They like zoom in, there's like 1 frame that's just his eye. I can probably find it easier here. Oh, I thought there was one that was just his eye. I guess I was wrong. I thought there was one here that like literally is just like here. It's just a couple frames of that, but that actually makes a difference. It doesn't seem like much, but it gives you actually a little bit of context. I'm not looking at this. I'm looking at this part. So I mean, you can, even though it's only for 1 frame, you do see it. It's literally 1 frame. But it matters, so that's why I kind of want to do something like that, but it would require 0 motion blur, and that's the problem. So this is swing down. I kind of want to have it, because right now I went from looking down to sideways to up, which means that I probably want to change it to down again, or at least to sideways again. I can't stay up. I can't have stab, because stab would require a downward force, which for a head doesn't really work. So it has to be all swipes. I wonder if I can change how this attack thing and then the second beat works. I have to almost with how it's acting going so far. I can't really skip out on that. And I thought about because technically in this they talk that he is bathed in the blood of his enemies. I thought about adding something like that in. The only reason I won't worry about it right now is I can't really do that for BronyCon. So I'm going to leave that part out. Well, I guess I could keep it simple and have him just kind of golf swing it. So what I mean by that is... No. So what I mean by golf swing is just have him kind of go follow through afterwards. Should be easy because after this impact, he's going to go forward a little bit, and when he continues on, he would have to angle backwards again, so arch the other way. So he would, in essence, be doing this again. Actually, I wonder if I can have it kind of twist like this. Put him in a little bit of a different body position. To reset his body after sometime in the middle here, because he's going to have destroyed everything on his bones trying to get all these positions. I can't unsee the dolphin and when I was working on that Ember thing in this part. It always pops up in my head every time now. I would need to have him pull his legs into this bit. And if I were to keep that, it would be the camera would probably have to move. The camera would have to move because otherwise it would just be too much stationary motion. No, it doesn't work from that angle. Not liking his position here. Also, I think his eyes are bugging me. That's part of it. And not, they would normally be at this part looking like. That or something. I think also the problem is the camera is technically not moving until after he's already moving. So if I move that closer. Could work. Other difficulty I'm going to have is lighting. Because how am I going to light that's so much? Like, also got to fix some of the backgrounds here because that panel. Alright, you like that? Thought I fixed all those. However, also I was working on trying to figure out a way to dissolve some of the borders here without having that super bright light to hide it. And I found that if you do add mountains here, you can kind of hide it a little bit. So I was like, why not? You know, I'm kind of bothered a little bit. I will fix his body texture. I'm gonna guess it. Nope. What's his full name? That's full name. Okay. All I originally found because I needed something was it's actually good. I think the sword's a little bent, but this is a sword with a crown. About the best I could come up with. So with the music, that's still going on. I could even connect the end of this one with the next one, because technically at this point, Rainbow is diving after him. I could try to connect it, because I did the action parts And he's looking up now, so I could have him, or have him basically be done hitting things, and instead, or have one last hit. Before, like, have one last hit here to potentially flip the camera to looking straight down again. Because then I can show, like, the fact there's supposed to be a almost cloud of dragons that he's falling into. So, I could have him look down to see that, and then, if I have him do a 180 in the air, I can have him look up then and have the camera zoom into Rainbow Dash, just about ready to catch. And if I did that, it would lead a little bit better into this, as long as I kept a similar facial. But that might get confusing then. I think it would work if but I can't do a Rainbow Dash in that scene. Because otherwise it would be like a continuity thing. So maybe not. I don't know. I might have to... There's a lot of this I'm going to probably have to think on. But actually, I did a lot more in the action bit here than I thought I was going to do. This got a lot of work to do, but like I brought up before, the planning part's the hard part. So... So I think that should work. So this scene, I'm probably going to want to be offbeat a lot. I think I'm only going to do 2 big ones. Do I have any bookmarks here? Yeah, I do. Okay, so those are going to be the 2 big ones I want to do. Okay. That shouldn't be too bad. I'm glad that most of the fighting scenes in here involve being in the air. It's so much easier. And against helpless victims, too. Because the dragons are helpless victims. I should fix their eyes. Might cause issues if I do that. I'm gonna worry about that later, actually, because I know that have the eyes glowing red for Axon, and if I change these ones, it might affect her. And I know if I fix these, I'm gonna forget about Axon's and I'm gonna render it and waste my time. So since these ones are gonna be rendered later, I can fix these later and not have to worry about fucking up. So yay. All right, so if these camera angles are gonna be correct, that means I can place these mountains here. I want to kind of think about over some of the animating things a little bit when I work on it a little bit tomorrow off stream. So I don't want to be done with the animating portion for now. So do the other stuff. But now that I actually have some of these camera angles down, I can start filling in some of these gaps. The idea that I had for doing these was to keep these as low as possible, but at the same time covering as much of the area as possible. So like I'm going to here so that anything that's continuous. Trying to make it only on the edge. This thing just kind of reminded me of Stranger Things. Which is coming soon because I saw the trailer. So good. Okay, I don't care if it's going up on the edge. That should be fine. So let's just right along the edge there. It does exactly what it needs to do. Okay, really that's all that is visible from that angle. I might need to rotate the skybox at this point so that it doesn't have that. I can do that right now. There we go. We have this side. I don't want to cover the whole edge because then it's just going to be a lot of models for no reason. Cool party, you said rarity's best pony. So, which is it? Best implies singular. It has to be one to make up your mind. Food. Okay, so volumetrics on that work. It actually works. I can see now I can dumb those volumetrics down. I just don't want to start playing with that until that's like the thing to focus on. Because like here, that's about the brightness that I wanted to go for in there, in that corner, or those edges, because that actually makes sense. But the other ones are just super bright. Actually, that one is to check something. So, is this the same brightness at this side as this side? No. Okay, so then I can fix it. I was worried that like there was a zoom thing that was just making the volumetrics look that way. That's not what I wanted to do. It is group. This would be mountains. Mountains. Getting there. Getting there. I'm actually getting through this faster than I expected. The only worry is this one. But I have 2 weeks to do it, so it actually isn't that bad. At least for getting this renderable for ProRecon. It went from maybe to most likely. Omnidirectional lights, there is none. SFM doesn't support them, so it would be great if they had them, yes, but a gaming engine I don't think can support an omnidirectional light that is within the engine like that. Most omnidirectional lights are placed within the map themselves, but they have limitations, and the fact that I can't actually control them because they're locked to their position means that most of their usability, or at least the things that I would find useful about them, I can't utilize. If the only type of omnidirectional light I can, and actually, do you have a link to it? Because I want to make sure that that's actually something that would work that way. Because that would be like an engine rewrite to me, like that I would see. Because would it be useful? Yes. But the way I think SFM sees it is shadows are calculated by a light going forward in one direction, striking something and creating the shadow behind it. The wider I make the light, the worse the quality of the shadow. But so if you have a light that doesn't have a singular direction it's going in, it doesn't know how to calculate that. It's not an engine that can look at it, point in multiple, or render it from like infinite directions being rendered at to get that shadow quality. It's not able to do that. Most SFM stuff is, and the most you can put a light to is 100 or like 179.9 degrees in all directions. So if they have an omnidirectional light, it probably has some severe limitations and probably has no shadows. If it has no shadows or the ability to do shadows, I really don't see much of a use in it. So, yeah, it could be useful for lighting some scenes and stuff, but I can just do that with lights as it is. So, but if you get an omnidirectional light that has, and for those that don't know, omnidirectional means like a light that shines in every direction, and it's just like you could say that God is omnipotent and whatever those words are. It's always omni, meaning everything. And so it'd be a light that shines in all directions at once. But SFM is only able to do 180 degrees, so as much as possible in one direction. But it looks like shit if you do it that way. But in the meantime, add motion blur. I'm gonna reduce that. Oh, it's already at 0. No, that's the wrong shot. See, that's a more manageable motion blur, but mainly because these subjects are still in focus while everything else blurs, but it's not going to look that way in final. It's probably going to all have the motion blur not work. But I need to render this out to see how this looks when moving, even if it's shitty. I'm kind of curious now. Yeah, okay, so it's not actually it's essentially an omnidirectional light, but it's an omnidirectional light using 6 lights. So it's just a pre-made light, but it isn't an actual modification. It's just I think a scene build, I'm guessing, that has the 6 lights, probably just positioned in such a way that it acts almost identical to, but that means if you want to make a shadow, you have to sacrifice 6 of your 8 shadow lights. This is 9 shadow. I thought it was 8, but so yeah, so it just fakes it. But unless you're doing a shot like this, something that's big and far away, you don't need it. You can utilize a lot of other lights to make it look about the same. The only reason that this would be nice is that you could completely light a surface and have somebody walk by that light source and have the shadow move correctly with it. But even then, there's other ways around it. So yeah, I wouldn't utilize it. And you could probably make it pretty easily yourself. I'm guessing it's just one straight up, one straight down, and one all 4 directions, and then just probably set to, if there's 6 of them, probably like 90 degrees or 120 degrees each or something like that. Probably just math it out. I just still see there being some issues if you have the shadows hitting just the right angles. So, whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it. Alright, so I'm gonna render this later and see what we're looking at. So, I got good about done. Oh yeah, this still needs to be cleaned up, so I'm gonna keep that orange. Okay. I'm closing this. The gajillion other windows I have open. What did I do in Photoshop? Oh, the floor. I don't care about that. So much crap. There. Yeah, after that, wait, no. I'm gonna go watch like Netflix and eat cereal or something. Gotta get my head out of the game. Light blue I've been kind of using as an identifier for something that's not in the video. It's like for those scenes it was originally because the when I was going to be working on the scene build for the Silverdale, I wanted to have the resources from the other Silverdale I made, so I kept some of those shots when I broke the video up at the end of this one, so that I was able to pull some of the resources like light color and some of the buildings and whatever. So that's why those were there. That's why they're also outside the shot. So I've just been kind of doing that as like my basis. So I've been doing the light blue for if I'm not carrying, if it's not something to be in the video, it looks separate. And then the other one was purple for active shots I'm working on. If if there's a lot of random colored stuff like between all the other ones work in progress, that makes it hard for me to remember which one I was actually working on. If there's like some are red, some are orange, some are green all over the place. But usually when you start getting towards the end of it, or there's not many shots, it's a lot easier to identify what it is I'm working on, so I don't bother with that. But then sometimes I still like look at the purple one and forget why I made it purple. So yeah, okay, that's enough for tonight. I will be back. I'm not streaming tomorrow. I will be streaming on Thursday and have more of this stuff. Hopefully I can start. I'll probably do more of the Silverdale one, and probably between that and Friday start doing the cleanup and finalizing on a lot of the other shots. And leave the Windthrow one for the weekend so that I can sit there and stare at it for 2 hours. So alright, yep, have a good night and behave, have a cat now, and yeah, so alright, yep, see you guys Thursday.